Here we go. So, welcome to that webinar. Greetings to Helgi also in the chat. So, welcome to that webinar, the Neuroscience of Inconsistency. I was supposed to do this one with my business partner, but unfortunately or fortunately, we had a conflict of timing, and another client required a workshop. So he's currently working with a client there. It's a small conference we already did once, so we translated it to English. So for the little story of where this conference come from, is that we got invited at the consumer science event at the local university here. It's Laval University. 2 months ago or 3 months ago or so, and we were invited to talk about neuroscience. So, of course, we're not neuroscientists, but in the at university, that the consumer science program is a highly holistic program where they will talk about the science aspect of selling, the human behavior, the communication, the marketing, but also the processes aspect of a business and how it works in the background. How do you make these things happen? And so, as an enterprise designer and EDGY professional, we were a kind of a perfect match for the event to try to tackle the neuroscience aspect of what we know about the consumer behavior and how businesses actually work. So this is kind of a redo. But it was one of a very good conference I think we did this year. It's a very funny one. So let's start with that conference here. So we started that conference, or we're starting that webinar at least with a question. So breaking down organizational silos when neuroscience shed light on the problems of silos. So that was, or it is, one of the big questions we started with, which is not an easy question to answer to. So how does neuroscience break these silos problem that we have in our businesses? So just to start with the neuroscience aspect, we will start with a few quick tests for the viewers at home. So get ready to be tested here. So no interaction, just check in the chat if you want, but here's the first test. Do you see any problem with this slide? So some ADHD people are like me, might have some issue with this one. So I do have a problem with this one. I can see that someone's typing. We see what comes out of today. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, the orange tile is in the wrong place. Yeah, this is our brain telling us, hey, there's something wrong. This one. So for me, that does have dyslexia. Haven't seen it at first, but yep. Our brain is telling us something is wrong here. We also have this test here. There's something that is quite wrong with this picture, and we can kind of figure it out quite easily. Now let's tackle this sentence. We've reduced the error by 200%, which is not mathematically accurate. Now, you cannot actually reduce mistakes by 200%. Does not work this way. So, yeah, this is where the neuroscience part kind of got us interested on, like, yeah, we all have a brain. We all take things for granted, but actually the neuroscience part is how our brain behave, sees things, and how we live in this world based with our brain and how it reacts to things. So there's a science to that. Thanks for the comment saying in the chat, Trump math isn't real. Yeah, it's never real. Don't trust that guy. How come does our brain see the different things that I've shown you and say, oh, there might be something wrong? So it's actually a matter of survival. We as human existed for a long time, and we don't evolve as fast as we think we do. Actually, our brain is still and will still be for quite a while in survival mode. And this is on that picture, pretty easy to see. Like, it's our brain telling us, yeah, if you stay there, you might die. And our brain is always making these connection of trying to detect what is wrong and what is not wrong in what we see and what we experience and what we live and what we feel. So yeah, pretty easy to see here. If we stay there, we're kind of screwed. Um, so while the lion is obvious, there are still moments in our life where we expect something, we don't see it coming, but it still grasp our heart a little bit. So for instance, look at these stairs. This is a trap. Like, you probably lived that before. Like, you go up stairs or down a stair, and there's this step missing. You think there's an extra one, so you're either like have that sensation where your feet should touch the floor, and you're just go, no, I'm falling, or it's the other way around. You think there's an extra step, and then you hit the floor way too hard for what was intended. This is also our brain saying at that very moment something is wrong. You need to react. You need to do something about it, and it reaches us in a emotionally. It us emotionally at different point, but this one is kind of a vertigo thing where it grasps us. So the way we've analyzed all these things, and it's also backed by a couple of things we've read before, is that yeah, sometimes we have an expectation of reality, and when everything is going, and when the reality is bigger than what we expect, usually we have a dopamine surge. So, oh, it's actually better than what I thought. It's surprising. It's cool. It's great. Um, and it's something when we design enterprises or services or product, it's something that we try to do. When reality meets expectation, it's just how it's supposed to be. It's okay, it's normal. But just like in the step thingy that I showed you, you expected to have an extra step, or and then the reality hits you pretty hard, and then you have a cortisol spike. So you have a dissonance on what you are currently living. This is not a good feeling, and your body is reacting to it. So you need to do something quick. So there's actually a biological cost behind all of these things and reaction. So when we live our enterprises, or we go through a service, or we are using a digital product or a physical product, when we are in that state where reality and expectation does not meet one another in a negative way, it gives us some chronic stress, and it does elevate our cortisol level. So it is it puts an unconscious stress in our brain, and it does happen more and more the worst a service or product is. It does give us cognitive overload and decision paralysis analysis. So when you're trying to complete a form, or you're actually trying to, I don't know, cook something, but it's not working, you don't know why, you actually need to think more, and then it takes energy. And when it's not working at work, and then you don't know why certain thing behave, or there's a big problem to solve, it does have a biological cost. And at some point, well, you lose, the dopamine deficit, and it erodes the engagement. And why I'm talking about that at the end is that when you have an enterprise or a product, you want engagement to be good. You want people to come back. You want them to have a good experience. So actually, we build enterprises, product, services, or whatever. We are actually the one that are building these systems that have problems in coherence on them. And I think this is where enterprise design, when you're doing the whole tackling project holistically, and you're trying to figure out like how system works and how these unconscious behavior occur and how you can play with them, correct them, is very important, and can help your enterprise and be more successful or achieve something better. So a few examples still. So you've probably seen these things before. So thank you for visiting our store, but refund can only be processed online. So it's more rare nowadays, but there used to be a point when omni-channel wasn't a thing, where you buy something online, you cannot send it back directly to our store, or you buy something to a store and then you want to be refunded in another store from the same brand, but it's not the same inventory system. So it's actually systems that are built in enterprises and does not make any sense for a client. So for the enterprise, it's not the same system. For the clients, but you're the same business. So this is something illogical, incoherent, that does erode the the experience and the engagement from the client. And for client, it does not make any sense. This one is an easy one. Your call is important to us. So if it's so important, what does it take 2 hours for me waiting there? So we are building system where complaining or getting help is way slower than trying to buy something. Or if it's so important, why don't just I leave a message and you call me back? So how does these things that are incoherent for our clients are built better, just to remove all these different barrier and incoherence for our clients, and have a better engagement there. This one is a real one. I think it's kind of weird. It's funny, and for some people that might have experienced better governmental processes. When I actually started my business, my enterprise, they say, it's a very secured system, so we will send you the password by mail, physical mail. And then I received the first letter saying, thank you for registering. Your password will come in another mail. So you wait another week, and then you receive your password. And then 2 weeks later, you can actually access your all the information you need to complete your business registration online, which makes no sense whatsoever. This is very incoherent, but for them, it's their legacy system. But these systems have been built at some point. So, is neuroscience a new discipline? So, where it's at? I think neuroscience actually might not be a new discipline, or at least the way we see it is that there's a lot of things that we knew in design, in basic design, in behavior, that we've been able to observe, that we knew, that we felt. But neuroscience is something, or a discipline at least, that help us, like, okay, all these things that we felt, now we can explain them, we can rationalize them. And when we design enterprise service or product or whatever, we also say there's no magic, but there's a lot of tricks. And I think the way neuroscience and design are connecting together is that things that we used to know now, we are able to map better, to understand, and to play with them better. So, if the customer journey is too complicated, the customer lose sight of what's important. But knowing the human behavior help us, yeah, play with these things, create that magical moment where I said in one of the previous slide where, yeah, how do we make reality bigger and better than the expectation, and how do we choose the moment we're doing it, and how often do we do it? Because if reality is always bigger than expectation, then you get some sort of a overload. But there's science behind it now that can be tracked, mapped, and played with. So one of the way we are using that some sort of I don't know, a technique to make better product is it have a lot to do with narratology, or at least storytelling. So, and this is what most brand and yeah, basic communication for enterprises, telling story and talking about emotion is very powerful. The reason why these storytelling are so powerful, and usually like you read people's comment on Amazon and you believe them, it's because, oh yeah, I bought this for my father and he played with it, he liked it. Or we share these stories of, oh yeah, I had a great service at this location. Is that our brain does a lot of mirroring. So the next best thing after doing something is to see other people or listen people to talk about that something in particular. Our neurons, our brain reproduce these feelings when we are listening to story. So we are naturally rigged to understand story, to mirror them, to feel them, and to learn on them. So on the conference that we did and the way it was placed with the context at the university, the storytelling and the marketing aspect was very strong. So that's why I'm talking to you about the storytelling and not as much as the architectural or experience aspect right now. But you'll see, we'll get there on a more holistic approach there. So yeah, so I've quickly presented myself at the beginning, but now here's who we actually are. Eric and I am a designer. Eric is a strategist, facilitator, speaker, and I'm also a teacher in design. I'm also a speaker, and this year I've been also a young business personality of the Quebec City region. So yeah, what we do for a living is that we've created a lot of product for people, enterprises, new product, new portfolio pieces that they can like make money on. We help a lot of digital transformation to simplify things, to understand the customer behavior, and also how do we work with the operation and the processes to make sure that clients are engaged and that they are able to go through what they need to tackle, and they are happy with it and they are efficient with it, and that it's just a good experience overall. And we've been working together for like 15 years, so it's been a long time since we are working together for a long time, and we've done a lot of these kind of projects. So yeah, so that's the basic theory to begin with. So let's talk about something that you can see and imagine how we works and how the holistic approach and the way we use EDGY actually work in that context. So we will talk about cues. So imagine there's in a grocery store on the rational part here. You see a long queue. So queues in grocery stores are not a good thing. I don't want to wait. I'll take the shortest lane at the grocery store, and usually when we do, it's always the longest one for some reason. But now imagine you're actually in a beautiful city, let's say Toronto, and then there's a restaurant and there's a big line. Then you say, oh, there's a big line. That restaurant must be good. So you go and you make the line and you're happy with the queue and making the line because you're expecting something. So it's kind of in both contexts the same problem or advantage. In the rational part, when you only ask people, are queues good? Everybody will say no. But when you put that into a restaurant context in a big city, it's a queue is actually good and might be part of your strategy. So this is when you try to analyze these things rationally, emotionally in their context that you can see how. So not everything is good or bad, not everything is black or white. It's you need to figure out how the brain works to make something efficient and valuable and increase in experience for clients. So okay, so there's a long line usually, whatever the context. If we go with a client and we do service design, and that person say there's a long line, I want to know why. How do I analyze a queue? So this is where we come with EDGY, that I will explain a bit more, but usually people that reach us know about EDGY. But here's a few questions we might ask about the line. So we, on the experience, we observe there's a line. Is it good? Is it bad? We don't really care at that point. We just want to say, okay, it's an experience, it's there. So we ask ourselves, do long lines increase or decrease the sale of the product? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? So we kind of ask them, what are the impact there? Are long line caused by my checkout system or something else is causing it? Is it because I'm too popular? Is it because there's a problem with my system? Is it because the capacity of the restaurant or the store I'm at is not balanced with the popularity? Might be a happy problem. Is it because of how I organize? Do I have the right people? Do they know how to handle everything quickly? Do I need to teach them something? Is it part of actually my identity? Is it part of my strategy? Because as like I mentioned, a long line means it's popular. That might be an edge that we have there. Or do these long, and we have to ask ourselves, how do these lines affect the brand perception there? So I can see there's a comment here. I'll take a second to rest my voice and to read that comment on the chat. So give me a sec. Can I force the long line on my customer like the one on at the clock room after they already paid and entered the concert? Oh yeah, interesting. So the context will tell us about the line. And these waiting times are part of a good or a bad design. But yeah, in concert, usually you need to go there 30 minutes before, and then you have time to kill. So what do? You drink, you eat, you buy some food, you talk to people. The socialization aspect might be part of it. So yeah. So let's move with the slide. Okay, so the funny thing is that while we are talking about queue is part of the waiting, is part of the experience, but you don't actually design an experience. You don't design a queue. There's no such thing as a waiting queue designer thingy or whatever you want to call them. But what you actually design is your enterprise that will deliver in a holistic view, something that works as a whole, that will give you the benefit of your strategy and that will align with your organization and your processes and that will give you the good brand recognition that you want. So waiting line is actually a holistic problem, which is kind of funny to say it that way, which most people don't see it that way. It's mostly, queues are not fun. Waiting is not fun. So we will play a guessing game. You should recognize the two first businesses that we will test. So be ready on the chat. I will give you some analysis that we did with EDGY for some businesses, and your goal is to figure out whose business are we talking about? Whose waiting line are we talking about? So let me just prepare this. So I will let you read. So we have a first business which want to be economical. I will let you read and try to guess. I will give a moment. Someone is telling me that there's actually a queue design study area. I've never heard about it, but that's great to know. Oh yeah, the maze-like queues at the airport from. Maybe, yeah. So back to our test here. I want to be seen as the most affordable store in town. People are drowned by discounts. I need to keep my staff as small as possible. Payment must be made at self-service checkout. Support will be available if any problem. There will be a line. It will be spread across several checkout lanes. So, is this still working? Okay, there you go. This one was hard, but it's kind of the it's a local brand here of a store, which is actually yeah, food market, but it's on yeah, on the cheaper side. But we can see that this strategy with self checkout, less employee is more and more common. That might be seen as, in that case, people guessed it pretty quickly, as it's still a strong brand and it's well positioned as affordable. And the way they minimize costs is as they have less employee. So it does goes as the whole thing. Like the less employee you have, yeah, the less spending you have. So yeah, the more affordable, the more the complexity of scanning stuff is. It's okay that if it's sent in the experience of doing your own checkout. If you go to a fancy store, the checkout is not made by you. You have someone telling you, "Hello, good day. How are you? Did you find everything you have?" Affordable mean do it yourself. So the other one, this one is international. So here's a that's a hint there. So practical. You want the I want to be seen as the most seamless store in town. Going to focus on independency and simplicity. Going to focus. Oh, there's a repeat there. Probably me in the translation. But on the organization, the front, it should be, yeah, staff will help if required, and they will be spread out everywhere. The store become a continuous checkout process. Oh, that's interesting. Architecturally speaking. Oh, the product service. Okay, a mobile app to do the checkout to remove the hassle of having to do everything all at once at the end. So yeah, when you're ready to leave, you just pay and that's it. The final payment feels instantaneous, so the waiting time is not there anymore. So this one is actually IKEA. So I don't know for everywhere in the world, but here in Quebec City, we have our IKEA app. You scan what you want when you're in the rows. When you go at the end of the experience, there's all these shelves that tells you like where is everything. You just say how many of them you want, and then you can pay with your phone, and you just scan your phone at the end, and you leave, and that's it. So there's no actually big queues on these machines because you're just going by. You bought the stuff, and you have everything on your cell phone, and everything is there. So it's they remove the queue, and it's funny because IKEA, you actually build your own shelves and desk and everything, but this one you actually build your own checkout and payment and invoice and everything. So it's do it yourself like IKEA does. So it does feel like them. Uh, there's the last one. This one is, and it's a local store, so I'll give the answer right away after. So let's say you want a store that want to feel carefree. Your brand is driving toward friendliness. You want the paying and waiting in line not to be the not something the queues be part of your strategy. So yeah, the people that actually do the service will handle the payment, everything all at once. You'll be taken care of with real human being. There will be checkout counter and fitting room located everywhere, and you can pay anywhere on the store. The payment can be made at any registry regardless of the product. So even though they're different part of the store that sells different product, yeah, you can go wherever. They will, even though it's not the expert of their department selling you the stuff, they can do whatever. And yeah, there are few lines because you don't see them. You can pay anywhere in the store. There's a lot of places you can pay. So it's a local store. It's a big one. It's regional. It's everywhere in Quebec province. Yeah, there's, I don't know, probably 40 of them or something. And yeah, this is something they've been doing for a long time. When you enter in the store, there's just nowhere to pay on near the entrance. There's barely any visible security in the store. So you just go there, you spot someone, you say, "Hey, this is what I want to try," and they say, "Is it good?" And you can pay where you are in the store. So they are really aligned with their brand, and sometimes there's a little bit of queue, but if there's some queue, you just go to another department where there's nobody and you can pay there. So you do whatever. So it's pretty fast. So they spread the queue thing there. Okay, so obviously a tool for resolving organizational dissonance. So as I said, the whole waiting in line is not only an experience thing, it's a strategy, organization, processes, brand thing. It's pretty much holistic. And when you see it that way, it's how you actually design something that makes sense and there's less dissonance. Obviously, in the context, we were presenting this conference for the first time. It's local, not everybody knew EDGY, so we've talked about the identity, the organization, the architecture, as we've did with the few example there. So it's a system that we all know and love here. Yeah, so identity actually influence organization, the organization build the architecture, etc. This is why in the example I've shown you, they are connected in that order because they are actually easier for us to understand when they're placed in these order because we understand the relation between these things better. So it's easier to go identity, organization, architecture, etc. than to move from different spot to one another. And yeah, like I said, it's very, very, very connected if you want to dig deeper. But for most people, like the first layer is good enough to figure out how things should work and then do what they do. And then when you're doing the big analysis things, yeah, you can go very wide with multiple maps by still keeping the EDGY visual language part of the tools that you use, or actually we use in every project to figure out how things work and how we can improve them. So, breaking down silos, organizational silos, when neuroscience sheds the light on the problems of silos. This is how we tackle all these rational, emotional problems. And there's actually a few cases that we've realized does that pretty well in real life. That is part of the neuroscience, or at least that was part of a few books that we've read on the behavior and how you create these great experience. But actually, when you read about neuroscience and you connect the dot on the science part and what we've been doing for a couple of years on the design front, like it just connects. It's just the same thing, but explained with science. So we use these unconscious behavior detector in coherence with the toolkit, and it helps us map these things and create better things, better experience, better enterprises. So one of the case that I'm going to quickly talk about is there's it's part of a book. I think what was the book that they are telling us we've seen? It's The Power of Moment. Um, the the case they are talking about in this book, there's actually a hotel in California that used to be the highest rated hotel in California for a couple of years. And when you looked at the picture and the price, they're like it's a as you can see, like it's painted yellow. It looks like a regular motel. Feels, yeah, low side, not cheap, but good enough. But the reason why they had these great notes is because they are doing a thing called breaking the script. Near the swimming pool, there's a popsicle hotline. And what it does is that when you pick up the phone, you have a gentleman or a gentle lady saying, yes, which color of popsicle would you like to have? And then I'll say, okay, orange, sure. And then someone comes with your popsicle, and here's your popsicle, sir, lady, kid, anything. So this is where you don't expect a hotel like this to have like some five-star popsicle services. So they are actually breaking the script. And this is where reality is better than what you expect, that you're breaking the script and you're creating something memorable, and that you actually have your five-star rating with 20,000 people saying, yeah, it's the best hotel in town. And a popsicle hotline does not cost much. It's not big marketing. It's not algorithm, AI, LinkedIn hacking, or something. It's just, yeah, you have a popsicle hotline, which I think it's a great story. Um, it's just a great story, and people like this, and it reflected on, yeah, their grades. Another one, which might be conscious or unconscious. It's still on the breaking the script kind of thing. So Starbucks. Um, so it's pretty hard to get your name spelled right on your coffee when you go to our Starbucks. And maybe it's designed that way, or maybe not. But yeah, you expect people to write your name right most of the time for most people, and then the way the script is break is that you see your name, yeah, not very well written or not even close. What it does, it's breaking the script negatively, but in a funny way. And at the beginning of Starbucks, people were saying, yeah, it's not my name. People were taking picture, posting them to Instagram. Look how wrong that spelling is. So it's actually a well designed mistake that drives attention and that drives visibility. Whether it's designed or not, I don't know. Is it conscious or not? I don't know. But this is what happened back then. Mistakes led to pictures on social media, free publicity. So breaking the script. And here's Disney. So same thing on these breaking the script. It's part of the peak end theory. So people usually tend to remember the highest moments of their experience and also the ends of an experience when they are at a point where you ask them, yeah, how would you rate that experience? Did you like it? Would you go back there? So just like in the story I told you before, they remember the popsicle. They might remember the speed bump. So there was a mistake there, but yeah. And they also are inclined to remember the last interaction they had. So let's say you go to Walt Disney. It was a great day. Yeah, sometimes there were some line, some queue, you were waiting. Not everything was perfect, but the day ends up with a big firework. So these end of experience matter. So when they are closing, there are fireworks, there's music, there's fun, and that's the last experience you'll have at the end of the day. And this is what you will most likely remember when they will ask you to say, how would you rate that? How do you like that? So these are all things that have been proven with neuroscience. And that does help us design better. Oh yeah, so where do we start? Yet again, at when we were doing the conference, nobody or not a lot of people knew about EDGY and Design Enterprise. So yeah, so this is the and friends things that we're doing right now. I think the easiest way to learn EDGY, yeah, there's of course if you go on the website, there's the books, there's the webinars, and you'll hear more about it. But there's also we've made a card game. So this is kind of our hook. It's what we call a serious game. So you create fake enterprises, and then you replay a second game, but with your real business or your real project, and then you can figure out everything and just go through these different steps, these different questions, and you can analyze. You can actually with the game doing the by playing doing the whole like let's figure out the queue and the waiting time, and it's using EDGY. So yeah, game. It's on sale on boardroomadventure.com. A little disclaimer, it's expensive to ship to Europe and to the United States. So it's we have it locally here, and we're still figuring out a way to print in other countries. So we don't pay 30, 100%, 200% of tariff. We can never know. And all the local taxes, because when it lands in other countries, well, we never know if you're going to be taxed 30%, 50%. So we're figuring out a way to print in Europe and the United States so it's more accessible. Meanwhile, I know there are people traveling in October for the Intersection conference that will take place in Montreal. If you know people that come, I will gladly give it to them so they can ship it to you back home or give it to you or find a way so that game can reach you all. So that was my last slide. So I will stop my screen sharing or go back to something more interesting, which I don't know what might be. Yeah, so I will now go into the chat if you have any questions. My focus will be in there. So, okay. No. Other consideration. Can I force the long line on my customer? Yeah, so I've read that one before. There is actually a queue design study area. Yep, that is interesting, and probably they studied the whole behavioral thing more than I did. In my case, it was like, yeah, what example can I do that is easy that everybody can understand? When I'm in I don't know, a subject-specific conference, I can say, okay, we will, yeah, I don't know, talk about buildings because it's a building conference, but this one was the general one. So queues are a good example of how everything go through them at some point. So yeah, I will stop the screen sharing and move this windows here so I don't look like I'm looking away all the time. Okay, so someone is typing here. Not that anyone listen to the queue. Designers, no, probably not. Maybe not. I don't know. It's not an official title, but I would be interested to check if it's an official title, a queue architect or queue designer or I don't know, something fancier, PhD in waiting queues or must be fun. But I think the whole waiting thing was only a reason to analyze something, and we've figured out that actually most problem are in enterprises, businesses are holistic by nature, and it's one easy way to explain how things affect one another and to make sure people understand that yeah, you design thing, but the experience it's an outcome. You design things around the experience, and the same things that you've designed might lead to different experience. So for some people in front of the restaurant, their experience might be, yeah, that's great. I've went there, I've waited an hour, and the queue was an hour, but it was good. And so for some people, it's a nope, a queue, not going there. It's the same design, but it's the different experience. And this is something that lots of people have problem to understand. uh, Cheaper does not mean better. Cheaper means cheaper, but it might be better in some context for some people. But if you're Chanel, cheaper is not a good thing. If you're a local grocery store that tries to drive some specific people, yeah, cheaper is better. But sometimes luxury is good for other contexts, other people, other things. Same thing for the line. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's highly contextual, but to make sure it makes sense, it's logical, and people go through these things, yeah, with coherence and not having their any issues or a spike of dopamine and everything. Like you need to design these things to make them coherent and to work as a whole. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. So if there's no other question, well, thanks for being there and feel free to reach out in LinkedIn or yeah, anything if you want to talk about uh, EDGY enterprise design or just the lines for everything. So thanks for being there. I will now stop the recording.